You excited about this track and with a car that's been performing so well around?
Yeah, I mean, of course, it looks a bit different to last year, where now it looks a bit more rainy, a bit colder. Sprint weekend as well, so it's a lot more hectic, I guess. A lot more pressure on everyone within the team as well, including the drivers. So, a lot of things to get right first before thinking about a good result.
You said on Sunday night that it's all about consistency for you now. Has the sprint come at a good time for you? Or would you rather have more than just the one practice session at the start of the weekend?
I mean, we've done a lot of races and practices. It's the same for everyone, so it doesn't change anything. But we've seen it before, the margins in qualifying are very small. So if you don't get already like Q1 right, it could be very easily out. We saw it last weekend. I think with George, he was out of Q1 and Lewis was on pole, so it can just happen to anyone out there.
The positions are not as good as the beginning, but I think we knew this, that we will go through some obstacles, some difficulties during the season, but this will make us stronger. I'm not too concerned. This will test the team. This will show us that we need to deliver always the best and find some answers. So I think the team is working flat out, is taking this in a very humble approach, and we will make the car better for sure in the next few months.
We are flat out trying to improve, and just as Kevin says, we're working a lot to analyse where we are and what we can do to try and make those big steps that some of the others potentially have, like McLaren and Red Bull often make. So hopeful and have all the faith in the world that we will eventually get there too.
It's always an interesting one, these sprint races. You hope that you hit the ground running in practice, but there's no guarantees, and especially with this weather we've got at the moment, it's going to be really up in the air. Tyres might be a limitation if we run out of tyres, because I think we've only got 6 sets of intermediate tyres, and to try and hold you through a practice session, 2 qualifying sessions, potentially a sprint race, it's going to be tricky, but part of the fun, and we'll be doing our best.
We've had a couple of consecutive tough weekends in the team, we're not going to lie, especially after such strong weekends in Canada and Austria. It felt like we were improving and we were going in the right direction, but our rivals have improved recently a lot, and it's made the field even tighter than what it was before. And now if you really want to have a top 5 or a top 3 result, you really need to nail the weekend, no? And that's what we need to focus on if we want to go back to the top 5 or top 3.
Of course, it's always special to come back to the place where you've won your first race. It is a very special memory for me. It was a very special moment at the time, even though it was done in circumstances that was difficult to obviously enjoy the moment, as we had lost Antoine the day before. But it's a special track. I think every drivers really enjoy this track. And we can always expect some exciting weather, and this weekend it looks like it's going to be pretty wet the whole weekend, so hopefully we'll be competitive in those conditions.
Well, do you welcome the wet weather? Do you think you will be competitive?
Honestly, I think we've been quite good whenever it was full wet or full dry, or at least we were maximizing our package. I struggled personally a bit more in the half wet, half dry conditions, but we put quite a bit of work into it, so I'm confident that if we find ourselves in those situations again, I'll be back at the level I want to be.
A lot of other teams that were competitive in the start aren't as competitive now. If you look at Aston Martin, you look at Ferrari, they were a lot closer to the front than what they are now, and we just seem to have swapped positions for some reason. But I don't know if they've taken a step back or Red Bull have taken a step forward or what. But yeah, we weren't expecting we were expecting the upgrade to help us race against them. And so far, a lot of these races, we've been ahead of them. So it's definitely not 1 second. But like I said, there's still tracks that I know we're not going to be as competitive in, and then it's not going to look like we made a 1 second step forward. So we'll see. But the team have obviously done an extremely good job, and we're continuing to try and make another step.
I think it's going to be a challenging race for everyone. I mean, it's a sprint weekend by the looks of it. The weather is going to be, the biggest factor. One session, and a wet track around here is always challenging. So I think it will be challenging, but exciting at the same time. Great track to drive, and Conditions will be difficult, but that's the same for everyone. So yeah, looking forward to the weekend.
I think obviously we are not where we want to be exactly. We know what we have to do. We know where we have to progress. And we are obviously bringing some new parts to the car this weekend. Hopefully that's gonna bring us closer to the top 10 to be able to score. But yes, it's going to be important for us to have a good one before the summer break, so we can all go in the holidays with a clear mind.
Budapest, I think there was a few areas I could have improved. Didn't quite nail qualifying at the end. The race, a very good first stint and start. Gave myself every opportunity to try and finish at the front, and struggled a little bit with tyre management. Had a bit of damage as well. Which obviously didn't help, but definitely there was a lot to learn from Budapest, I think. So, I don't know if it's been like an immediate click in the last couple of races, but definitely I feel like they've been strong performances, and I think when you're fighting for genuine podiums, that really takes the motivation to the next level.
It was very disappointing, obviously, to be taken out already after 10 seconds of race time. So it's never easy, but you got to look at what you have in your control and what you don't. And luckily we have another race coming up right after Budapest. So even Sunday night wasn't pleasant. You'll always try to move on straight away and look at the next opportunity.
It's just great, going to every race weekend, being able to fight for points and being in that area where you feel like you go to every weekend knowing that it just builds confidence and motivation for everyone in the team. So I would say we're enjoying these moments, and hopefully we can score some more points.
I think Hungary was probably better than we expected. That's true, but having said that, it was still too far off. If we see where P10 was, which was still a good I believe 20-ish seconds ahead of us, which is too far, too much for where we want to be. It's it's not good enough, but we've had races early in the season like Barcelona, I think, where the DEG was far worse. So maybe there were some positives to take from, but still, a long road ahead to recovery and for more performance.
Until this point of the season, we haven't met the targets we set as a team, and everyone accepts it and is working as hard as ever to get back up there, but it is the situation now. We're not, satisfied with it, but it is motivating to see that even with small gains you can make good progress. So again, progress, improvements. That's the key for the second half.
Unfortunately, what happened at the start, a sense obviously causing the issue into the safe mode engine. So when the lights go off, when I have no torque, is not the favorite thing to have. So quite gutted what happened actually. So we move forward, another weekend, another opportunity. So
I think performance was pretty good in terms of car in Hungary, but just couldn't put it all together from my side. We made a bit of step, but probably not as much as still we want. And I think Hungary is more like slow speed corners where still mechanical grip requires, which we are quite good at, like we see in Azerbaijan. But I think still an overall package of still missing performance a little bit that we're compared to where we want to.
Frustration, is of course building when you see other teams developing and making big gains, and we haven't seemed to make that big step yet. But I still have all the faith in the team that we can turn it around eventually. It's not going to be immediate, but I think we're doing the groundwork to be able to bring that step later on in the year. It's of course frustrating when you don't have it, and we want to be up there scoring points and doing well, and then at the moment it's a bit hard.
Coming here pretty positive about it, to be honest, and I think the track should suit our car pretty well, so that's exciting. But yeah, these conditions that we're going to be facing throughout the next few days definitely throw a bit of a curveball. So we're going to have to stay proactive, make sure we stay on top of our game and try to take advantage of what we think we're going to have underneath us.
Learning the car in these conditions, I think that's FP1, try and just log a few laps and be comfortable coming into quali. But it's good. It was a good weekend.
Are you feeling pretty at home with the car, all things considering? I know it's a new environment and stuff, but you know the team already as well, and hopefully you know this track as well very well as well.
Yeah, it's. I felt like last week it all went pretty well. You know, it was hard to really gauge where I'd be, or obviously I always try to expect a little bit from myself, but yeah, I think everything felt good. I felt pretty dialed in with, you know, the crew and the engineer, Pierre, so that was all positive. And I think not only for me but for the team as well, you know, it was a last minute change, so everyone needs to adapt, you know, it's not just me, and I think everyone handled it well. So the race, yeah, I think we pitted on lap 29 or something for a medium and got to the end pretty well with that, so yeah, we did some good things.